I just don't, you know.
As
Well,
long as
It's
there's
surround,
channel,
surround.
you're okay. Yeah.
surround yourself with sound.
That's right.
Just
Welcome
one.
to my
Yeah.
welcome to my closet.
Well, welcome to Starfleet.
That's right.
Well, you're not allowed on the bridge with me, so just
Yeah, I'm actually off the bridge in the closet.
Oh, I see.
These
next,
are all
next to the bathroom.
uniforms. Yeah,
You don't bother it with a lot of stuff there, huh?
yeah.
They
There is
just
a.
kind of.
It's funny. There is a bathroom right over there.
So are you going to get a new shed?
Yeah, a new ship.
Shed.
Oh, shed. Yes. Yeah. That's on the table. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do. Might go a little bigger.
Then
with
just
some
something
other-
you put on the table. I hope so.
Yeah, that's right.
2 stories, sir. Go for that second level. Go for it.
Is that related to the episode from tonight? Is the
Yeah, I
shed?
think so.
Yeah, we're looking at something a little bit bigger instead of what we had. So
Something with
that's-
a rubber roof that just trees boom,
that would be nice.
shock absorbers or something.
Yeah.
Or curves, so it just will flow off of there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, that's a ticket.
Yeah. But things are getting back to normal. So slowly, but we're getting there.
That's good. That's good. Glad to hear it because it sounds like it was been crazy there.
Yeah. Well, it was.
All right. So let me find.
How have you been, Gary?
Oh, things are going good. Things are going good. My youngest brother is christening his first child this weekend, so we got to drive up to Charleston for that.
Okay.
So
Great.
that's fun. So
That's
yeah,
good
things
news.
go along. We go on a little cruise in like a week and a half or so. So that'll be fun too. So just 4
Nice.
days back and forth to Nassau and back. So
So how old is your nephew?
he is 4 months.
4 months. Wow.
Is he in
That's
college
great.
yet?
You already signed him up.
Well, he's waiting on the letter back. We'll see.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, as long as you got a safety school, that's fine. Or safety pins, whichever. It doesn't matter.
Reapply in 17 and a half years.
That's right. Okay. Okay, Ensign Crusher. Just calm down.
Class of 2040. What?
All right. I think we're ready to begin. I'll be writing this audio here. So somebody want to count me in here?
3, 2, 1.
This is The Topic is Trek, episode 171 for Friday, November 8th, 2024. Coming up in this episode, Star Trek Micro Machines. In real life, not quite Trek. A good old Klingon battle. All that and more right now on The Topic is Trek. Extended happy hour. Join us for a journey where no show has gone before. If it has to do with Star Trek, there's a good chance we'll talk about it. Sooner or later, because on this show, the topic is Trek. Engage already. So, my first gap of the evening, I suppose, because I usually mute my microphone during the intro. I've got a feeling that also cut out the intro at the same time, I'm assuming. Up, and nobody can hear me all of a sudden. Can nobody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I was
Okay.
on mute.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Well, we're off to a fine start. So let me get my co-hosts in here who can hopefully help me out with all this tech and everything that's going on here. First of all, my name is Clinton, and I am one of your co-hosts here on this exciting episode of The Topic is Trek. But in order to be a co-host, I have to have other hosts with me. So, beaming in from parts unknown with the hip new catchphrase that all the kids will be talking about sooner or later, I've got a button for that. Here's Mr. Kreg Step. He's forming.
Longest transporter beam ever.
Yeah, where you beaming in from? It's just like
Psychosis awaits.
power or something.
Yeah. Oh, behave.
That's the new catchphrase.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I've been workshopping that for weeks.
Yeah, I'd find a new workshop to be shopping in or something. Try again next time. And
All right,
joining
fine.
us, well, Chuck Tomasi is on shore leave, beaming in. Although I don't know, we'll cut off his beam and hopefully he arrives as Mr. Gary Lindros. There.
Hi, I am this week's red shirt. Thank you for having me. I'll be gone soon.
You've got a blue shirt on. It can't be a red shirt.
He hung it up.
Ah.
It's on the.
Oh, this is my Phoenix shirt.
Oh, it is. Yes.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Well, before we go any further, I'd like to take a few moments to pay our respects to some of the Trek family that we lost over the past couple of weeks. First, actress Terry Garr, who, of course, let me put that up here, portrayed Roberta Lincoln, Gary Seven's assistant in the TOS episode Assignment Earth. Ms. Garr passed away on October 29th at the age of 79. Garr worked extensively in both TV and film, including her legendary work in Young Frankenstein, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and her Oscar-nominated role in Tootsie. Although she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in the 1990s, Garr continued to act, with her last project being 2011's TV series How to Marry a Billionaire. The Topic is Trek sends its condolences to all her friends, family, and fans around the world.
Absolutely.
What a bright star. Yeah.
Yeah. I had forgotten about the fact that she was in Tootsie. I think I more recently saw the Broadway musical. So I, was kind of mixing up the two. So
Yeah, and normally I think at Tootsie, I think the lead female role was Dustin Hoffman.
Yes, well, that's different story altogether.
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, to be honest with you, for a minute I forgot that she was in Close Encounters. I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot."
Yeah, she's staring at Richard Dreyfuss with the mashed potato mountain.
Yeah. Well, then again, I think of the female lead in Close Encounters as Dustin Hoffman. No, I mean,
wait a minute. Now, hold on. What? That's the special edition.
Unfortunately, his role was cut.
Was he one of the aliens that comes out of the ship at the very end?
Yeah, because in the red dress does a hey.
I thought he looked familiar. And we also lost another Trek luminary, Jeri Taylor. You might know her best as co-creator of Star Trek Voyager, but she was much more than that. Taylor joined the TNG team in 1990. Within 2 years, she was promoted to co-executive producer alongside Berman and Piller. She then served as the senior executive producer and showrunner for its 7th and final season, for which she earned an Emmy nomination for Best Outstanding Series. After co-creating Voyager with Berman and Piller, she served as the showrunner for the first 4 seasons of the series. She later worked as a creative consultant for the show's final 3 seasons. She received story by credit for 3 episodes of Star Trek Deep Space Nine and wrote 3 Star Trek novels for Pocket Books. Now, prior to Star Trek, the Emmy-nominated writer served as producer on the series Quincy M.E., for which she also directed a number of episodes. And I did not know she was a director, so there's news there. Magnum P.I., In the Heat of the Night, and Jake and the Fat Man, which starred William Conrad, if I recall correctly.
I think you're right.
Yep.
Taylor passed away on October 24th. She was 86. Our sympathies go out to Ms. Taylor's loved ones, and we're all diminished by both these losses in our Trek family.
Yeah, I mean, her fingerprints are all over so many of the Star Trek series, and some of the core things that we take for granted that would not exist if it weren't for her. It's more of a loss, I think, than some people realize if you read all the background work that she did do for these shows.
Absolutely. And, Janeway is kind of Janeway because of Taylor.
Yeah.
So, you've got your first female captain, and they made sure that they did it right when that opportunity came along. All right. Let us move on to hopefully happier things, certainly different things than that, because we are about to head out on our main mission, part 1, with an appropriate sound effect. He says, pressing any button, who knows what I'm going to get. Yeah, close enough. All right. This is going to be main mission part 1, and we will be talking about episodes 3 and 4 of Lower Decks. So, spoiler alert, if you have not watched those episodes, and I do not have that on the board, so cannot play that effect.
Wait, we're supposed to watch the episodes?
Oh, darn it. I didn't mention that,
Geez,
did I?
Boimler didn't tell me that. Yeah.
Wasn't on the homework assignment.
Well, Boimler, he's just all...
He's working on that beard so hard that he's not giving us the directions anymore.
Oh, boy.
All right.
Yeah.
So just
Weird.
the facts.
Weird.
Gary, can you give me just the lowdown on the tech side of this episode?
Yes, we're talking about Lower Decks, Season 5, Episode 3, The Best Exotic Nanite Hotel, written by Stephanie Amante Ritter and directed by Brandon Williams.
Okay. So what we're going to do here, as I'm constantly trying to find a new way to do our reviews, and much to the chagrin of Chuck and Kreg, and I don't like to just march through, plot synopsis. Sometimes we kind of have to, because the episodes come out the day we record. But
Yep.
in this story, we definitely have, as in a lot of Lower Decks episodes, an A plot and a B plot. So we're going to
Right.
talk about the A plot first, and then we'll move on to the B plot, kind of lump these things together. So I consider the A plot: the Cerritos is docked at the Cosmic Duchess, a massive interstellar cruise ship. An away team consisting of Mariner, T'Lyn, Rutherford, and Tendi must capture a nanite cluster infesting the Duchess. The microscopic robots are consuming metal to self-replicate. Complicating things is the last-minute arrival of Mariner's ex-girlfriend, Ensign Jennifer Shriyan. I'll go with that. The Andorian seems to think she and Mariner are still a couple, much to everyone's dismay. So it's almost like the A plot had an A plot and a B plot in it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, because you've got the team trying to focus on this idea of collecting these nanites, and of course doing it humanely because they are sentient beings. And this whole thing going on with Mariner and Jennifer. And I don't know about you guys, but I just kind of assumed that we were never going to see Jennifer again.
I know.
It was a pleasant surprise. I enjoy the character a great deal.
Hey,
So that was fun to see her.
I think it was designed so we would identify with Mariner for a little bit, because she didn't expect to see her again either.
Yeah, pretty much so.
Well,
Yeah.
this whole Mariner sort of off kilter, or like not sure what's going on. I love when they focus on that aspect of that character when she's not in control as much, and struggling
Yeah.
to figure out what's going on.
That's true. Yeah. I did like how I was going, wait, I thought they were broken up. Are they not? And they were getting on the transporter pad, and all the other characters looked as confused as I was.
Well, it's interesting because we actually got Jennifer's perspective on the whole thing. As you recall, when Mariner came back on the ship, she walked right past Jennifer and, over to her friends. And that's the last we saw of Jennifer, I believe, at that point.
Yeah. I liked
So-
everybody's eye shifting. They were like, what's going on?
I don't yet. So I can understand Jennifer's point of view here, is that they never really officially broke up, but the plan she has to resolve this is rather complicated.
Yes.
I mean, first of all, she has to get herself on the mission,
Yeah.
and she has to get herself on the mission before she's leaving.
Yeah, she just kind of jumped on the pad. Hey, I'm going on the mission. And how would you leave? Why would you leave your girlfriend behind?
That's true. Maybe she was never actually assigned to this mission. Maybe she just decided, now's
Yeah.
my last chance.
That's
Yeah.
yeah. I'm with you on that. I think it was just oh well, I'm not assigned to anything. I'm leaving shortly, so I'll go do this.
Right. Yeah.
But I did note down here that she did come up with the plan that they used 3 times in the episode, which is using energy cells to lure the Glumpus into a trap.
Yes.
So it definitely was pulling her own weight as far as coming up with suggestions for things.
So are you trying to say that she's so competent? That's why she's getting transferred off the Cerritos?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I think
Awkward.
she has a perfectly valid point that there are many more Andorians over there, and she's got a chance. Now, I forget whether she said she had a better chance for promotion, though. So maybe there is something in there as well. I do remember, she had 2 points about it. One about the Andorians, but I think also moving up in ranks seemed to be maybe because it's a bigger ship that there's more opportunities for that. Or maybe it's because she's still an ensign and their lieutenant's junior grade at this point.
We're seeing all the lower deckers kind of moving up, and which should be a theme the next several episodes, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
I'm just glad at this rate they're not going all out as captains.
Yes.
yeah,
They're not pulling a Star Trek 2009.
that would be interesting. At the very last episode, they're all captains and all the ships go in different directions.
Well, we actually will have a story about that in the news section, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
No.
What do you make about this concept that I have to just put down Krog, but apparently the musician's name is Krog on the Rocks? That T'Lyn was extremely distracted seeing the poster, seeing the vibe tubes, just extremely distracted by this whole thing. What's up with that?
It was like being a fangirl of a groupie of a band, but removing the emotion part out of it, which I thought was really cool.
Oh yeah, I like the photograph at the end. What's this? Right? Oh, it's his autograph. Oh well, there's no reason for that. Okay, we'll throw it out. No.
Yeah.
In case I need to study how it's writing and signatures and such later on.
Yeah, that's right.
But apparently she's able to play these vibe tubes as well. Maybe that's part of the appeal, is that he must, she knows how to play the instrument, but he knows how to really play the instrument.
Well, we don't know that she was playing it well, just enough to disrupt subspace.
Yeah, it wasn't her mission. Her mission was to, disrupt that signal and to collapse the was it
Isahedron?
Yeah, is that it?
I think that is it.
I have it written down, but yeah, so that's what she was attempting to do, really. Yeah, so and we never get to hear Krog do a performance. Maybe we'll get to hear that later on.
You can buy the CD or listen to it on Spotify.
Oh, okay, cool. Very cool.
I'm hoping we walk into T'Lyn's quarters and it's playing next episode.
That's right.
All right, so then we have the actual mission that's supposed to be going on here.
Yeah.
And really it seems like Rutherford and Tendi and sometimes T'Lyn are concentrating on that while Mariner and Jennifer are going back and forth about stuff most of the time. But we've seen obviously nanites before. They were first introduced in The Next Generation. And after that, they pop up all over the place. But I think they get a kind of a starring role in this episode.
Also a starring role in Discovery.
Yeah.
The programmable matter.
Yeah, control the whole thing. Yeah.
But so in this case, the swarm, though, is eating metal, and they discover that it's eating energy items as well. And that's when Jennifer says, we can set a trap with this energy cell, and that trap doesn't work. And Mariner, just to speed things along, phasers it, which I guess recharges it or does something to it. We don't really know what phasering it actually does, except it lures the Glumpus back.
Yeah.
Rutherford is on a nicknaming trend here. We had Otherford, and now we have Glumpus going on here.
Olympus.
He named Badgie too, didn't he?
Yeah,
Well,
I
yeah.
presume so. Or did Badgie
Yeah.
name himself?
Oh,
He programmed it, so
Hmm,
yeah.
not sure about that. Have to go back and check on that one.
hey Gary, we're not sure if that canon on that. So
Oh, okay.
Icosahedron. There we go.
because he's yeah.
Yeah, I have down here that it passes by Krog as it's rolling around and then goes back and picks him up and the ice cream truck with him. So
I also liked when they showed a couple of items on the ground, like one of them was a tricorder. It rolled over it, and then it rolled over again, and you see the tricorder looked like an empty shell because it ate the things on the inside.
although it seemed to have no interest in the ice cream cone that got left behind when the ice
Yeah.
cream truck went away.
There's no metal in that.
No,
Hopefully.
that we know of.
Yeah, that we know of.
Allegedly, there's no metal in that thing. We don't know replicators. Who knows what's going on? But it turns out that this is not what we thought it was going to be, and we're going to get a bit more into that a bit later on. I'll just ask at the moment, did you expect once it collapsed for there to be any more to that part of the story?
No, not necessarily. How about you, Gary?
No, I was waiting for it turned out to be some little kid's science experiment. It's not without precedent.
No, that's true.
Wesley's return to do more work with the nanites.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was going to be pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like that was going to be it. All right, but
Mhm.
before we get to that part, why don't we go back to the plot, but this time plot B,
Oh,
which is Commander Ransom has pulled Boimler away from the pest control assignment to be part of a new mission. He'll be going with Ransom and Billups on an undercover mission to a posh resort. They will be posing as vacation bros. Their mission is to bring back Admiral Milius, an officer who has gone AWOL. Before they leave the Cerritos, Jet Manhaver, which I don't know if I remember his name, but Manhaver, injured on a previous mission led by Ransom,
Mhm.
warns Boimler about the commander's reckless leadership. So again, we have kind of two things going on here at the same time. You have the mission to find Admiral Milius, who is on who came down with like vacation or fever or something like that and told Starfleet to go shove it.
Well, I am just sick of this plot continually to just bring out all these reckless admirals. Can't Star Trek have a new idea once in a while?
I know.
Admiral this, Admiral that.
Well,
it's a trope now.
What is in those pip? What is in that extra pip? It just drives them nuts.
he wasn't necessarily bad. He kind of got into the
Did you see this tan line?
He was bad. All right, he was bad. He was bad.
It's bad.
But he gives a reason for why he was bad, right? That he joined Starfleet to explore strange new worlds, seek out new lives, new civilizations, to encounter things that would challenge him, and he ends up being a interstellar milking machine, just kind of going after
that was original. Definitely was original.
And the Galaxy's Child thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he has a reason to be a little miffed, at least.
Yeah.
But he definitely had a Kurtz from Apocalypse Now vibe to him, especially when Boimler was brought in to see him. You have that figure in the dark putting this lather on his face and just kind of mysteriously talking in the background saying, "I've been watching you," type of thing.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of themes going on in this episode, homages to other stuff at the same time. But so they get down now. The planet I don't think is ever identified by name. It's not Risa. They have a Risa bar, but I think the Risa bar is just like a Risa themed bar. So I don't think it was the planet they were I don't. Were they orbiting a planet? Was Cosmic
And
Duchess around a planet?
Oh, we would have seen at least one Horgon if it was Risa. So no.
Yeah. So well, I think there were some Horgons in the Risa bar, but again, I think that was part of that overall theming of that bar. So it's never really identified what it is, but it definitely is not part of the station. Because at first I thought, well, maybe it's part of the station. No, they've got mountains there that you can ski on and lazy rivers. This is not part of that station, no matter how big that station is. This is an actual.
yeah, I was trying to remember the name. I'm looking at Memory Alpha right now, and I was.
Well, when I did I don't think that they give it a name, but if you can find one, I'd be interested to know, because I was trying to place it at first I thought, I just made the assumption to begin with that it was on the station. And then I said, no, they've got a shuttle and they're going someplace and it's got these different environments and it seems to be all connected. They don't just like leave a holodeck and go to another holodeck or if it was a holodeck, then I think it'd be really easy to find the Admiral. You wouldn't have to do anything. You could just automatically locate him, just turn off the holodeck and boom, there he is right there.
Maybe it's one of those. Maybe it's the Alpha Ceti planet. No.
Yeah.
Finally terraformed.
Finally, at last.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't even see the name on here.
Yeah,
I don't
think they name it.
Oh well, I did see AWOL, like AWOL.
Right. So it's AWOL Falls. Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah.
Which is an elite, a Latinum elite experience.
Oh wait, you haven't mentioned the Vacation Bros again yet.
Oh, did you write the names down? Because I didn't put them in my brief.
Yeah.
I know
so Ransom.
Yeah.
Ransom was Zach Ransom.
Yeah.
While Billups was Gilbert Manhandle.
Of which Ransom said no.
You're Zandy. Yeah.
Zandy Killups or something like that.
Yeah. That was funny.
Yeah, they seem to. Well, they got the intelligence to find out about the Denobulan woman. I don't know when they found that information out, because it was like 2 seconds after Boimler went over to talk and got himself into trouble that they said, "Oh, but well, we know where why didn't you say that before I went over to talk to them? I could have avoided this whole thing." And we got to find out how good Boimler was on skis. That was he screams as well on the slopes as he screams anyplace else. I must say that for him.
Oh my gosh. I laughed when he fell off that cliff.
Now, that was classic Looney Tunes fall.
Yeah.
It was. Yes, it was.
There's no doubt about it. If you timed it, because
no one ever survived that before.
Yeah. Chuck Jones had a specific amount of time that I think he would give to the fall. And I guarantee there's probably exactly that same amount of time for that fall. And we have essentially with the scream.
Yeah.
And Boimler was really good at keeping a secret in the fact that he was with Starfleet. I think that was the key to the whole thing. He told the Denobulan as soon as he talked to her, he's screaming it on the lazy river.
Yeah.
I don't think he's meant for undercover work. It's just my feeling.
Right.
So Ransom goes on at the end about, why they needed him on this mission, but he was constantly screwing up along the way. I mean, every time he turned around, he something was going wrong that he was doing. And so there's, you're a problem solver and you're wiry and all that kind of stuff. But I'm thinking, but he just messed up constantly.
I have a feeling they were trying to give him a chance to shine. That's why they took him. That's why he took him, because he mentioned it. Like you said, he has these traits that he liked. And he goes, really? I'm wiry?
And he controls ducks, which is 99% of undercover ops.
Yeah. Speaking through vents. Yeah. So that was.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, but
I think Ransom actually is taking him under his wing a little bit. We might not see it as it might not be said, but it feels that way.
Yeah, because he kicked him towards the cave that was like, the dangerous cave, and he kicks Boimler's inner tube out there. You just said it was dangerous. I'm trying to give you a win here. It's like, yeah. So I think that's part of that. I'm trying to show you that you can do this stuff. Like I believe in you. Now you got to believe in you type of thing. And should we comment on Boimler's continuing attempt to grow a beard?
Yeah, he looks like a teenager that just started growing facial hair.
It's those like 5 hairs, it's give him credit. It's
I would like to give him credit for his plucky enthusiasm about it,
sure,
especially after seeing the alternate Boimler and saying, "Wow, I look really good with a beard." I like he's got this goal to shoot for. Other than recording captain's logs, we don't really see much of that with him. So,
what I want to see is actually we've seen a bit of it, but I don't think enough to be able to tell if he grows in a full beard. Is it blue, or has he dyed his hair?
We saw it on the other Boimler, wasn't it just black?
Yeah. So
I thought it was purple like the rest of his hair.
Okay.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Well, as a clean-shaven man, I might not pay as much attention to it as you gentlemen, so I will defer to your observations. Yes.
Good.
I mean, look at my luscious beard.
Yes, so rich and full.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts? I did notice. What did I note in here? That so the guards at AWOL Falls were just resort guests. They were wearing hotel robes. Their weapons were pool cues with like throwing darts. We played darts just kind of taped to the end of the pool cues. And when Milius tells them to, sacrifice yourselves for me. Yeah, that's not the vibe we're going for. And they just walk off.
Right.
I'm going back to my room.
My wife thinks I'm at the buffet. Gotta go.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm out of here. That was funny.
It made me wonder, what were they thinking was going on in the meantime? They're doing all this other stuff, and
it's like when you go to a resort and they have those sort of events that you participate in. They just thought this was the equivalent of a conga line.
Well, like on a cruiser, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah, like on a cruise ship. Yeah, doing stuff.
Yeah.
All right, now we get to the C plot because, all right, we think we're done, but no, C plot. Rutherford discovers the nanites were not acting independently. They were being controlled by a miniature Intrepid-class starship. A transmission from Captain Tersal of the USS Endeavour explains that her ship from a miniature dimension had been pulled through a quantum fissure and had endured a month of hell.
I love that. A month of hell.
Their attempts to gather power and materials to create a dimensional gate is what everyone else thought was a destructive nanite swarm.
I have to wonder when, they're a microscopic ship and already that isodecahedron or whatever.
Yeah.
That thing was huge. Was much larger than, it was almost building size. How much bigger did they need to get that thing on their own to make this dimensional portal?
Well, one guess could be that they kept trying to make it bigger to see if they could get it to happen, and it just wasn't happening no matter how big they made it. Because that's what kept doing it.
Or they were making it get bigger to get attention.
Or they just like that video game that I can't remember the name of the game that you would just have that thing that would roll around and just gathering up stuff and making it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger type of thing. It was like a snowball, but it was a game where you would essentially do what it did, rolling through the streets and just keep glomming things onto it. It would just get larger and larger and larger. My question is also that, okay, considering how small their ship was, that is a different dimension altogether, because how tightly packed or tiny are atoms in that universe? I mean, they are microscopic.
Well, I mean, DS9 had a brave little ship, or what was it? So I was, when I first saw the shrunken one, I figured they were going that route, but they went with dimension instead of accident.
But this
it's
does.
Actually,
go ahead.
I was just saying they live in a galaxy on the collar of a cat's Cat collar.
Ah,
Yeah,
you're
that's it.
crossing the streams again.
Yeah,
Careful.
yeah, yeah. Sorry.
So we had a blackout on that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw a bright
right.
light, and I just didn't remember anything after that.
That's
Uh,
right.
Forgot what I was going to mention there. That's okay. There were other
Sorry,
things.
I didn't mean to mess you up.
That's okay.
Although I did love the line of Captain Tercel when the Admiral Milius came up and he's like, "Oh yeah, you're a whale miller in our universe. I'm amazed you're going to help us." I was like,
Yeah, well, that's not the case here. You know, it's
Yeah, yeah.
not at all.
that was nice. That was the Admiral's been redeemed. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. See, he was a good guy. He just had gone a little crazy for a bit. That's all.
A little sideways.
Yeah. Then we have the wrap up in the Cerritos Lounge. Tendi gives T'Lyn a Krog on the Rocks autograph photo, which we've talked about. And then Jennifer bids Mariner farewell on friendly terms, a first for the Andorian. Boimler and Mariner are proud of each other's recent accomplishments, and Ransom is trying to find Jet to help with an assignment wrangling crystalline spiders. And Jet just got his hands back, so he's trying to run away.
Yeah,
And the
you can hear.
animation of fear on Jet's face when he said that was wonderful. That was great.
Yeah, and you can hear him later. I just got my hands back. No.
Where is he? He's hiding under the bar.
No, these hands are. I just got them. They're new, or something like that. He said,
"Yeah, no, run."
Run.
I don't know if you can you really run away from your superior officer like that? I don't know if that's really
something. Well, you're not disobeying an order if he can't give it to you.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Well, it's kind of in line with the rest of the episode with the Admiral that went AWOL.
He should
he ran away.
Just use the comm badge and contact him. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Or just have the computer locate him.
And beam him over.
1 meter behind you.
That's right. All right. Any other thoughts on this episode?
I'm gonna miss Jennifer. I still enjoyed the character, and I liked the dynamic they did have when they were together between her and Mariner. So I'll miss that. Yeah.
And I did like the fact that they brought her back to kind of wrap up the storyline. And this probably was even before they knew this was the last season, because they were well into production on it. So this was something they were planning to do anyway, was to try to, okay, we need to address this. It's been quite a while. And it might be a case where we need a B plot going in here, or a sub B plot. Well, we've been thinking about this. How about, that could work in there. And so I think it was good.
Well, when T'Lyn came in, I knew Jennifer was on her way out. They don't want to juggle that many characters in this show. So it was still nice to see her.
Yeah. Could you imagine an episode called The Wrath of Jennifer where she's actually angry?
Yeah. Don't
You're
make
the first ex I haven't wanted to kill.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
That's right.
All right. So I say we rate this one on, I've lost it already, on icosahedrons.
Oh,
that's what I say, because
watch it. We don't have the budget for those big words.
I know it's many syllables, I'm sure.
Spell check isn't being installed until Tuesday.
Yeah, it actually, I must have spelled that correctly on here because it's not underlined, so that's how it's spelled.
Wow.
All right, let's start with, well, we should be gracious and have our guest go first. How many icosahedrons out of 10 would you give to this episode?
I would give it 8.5 isodecahedrons. There was a lot of action happening here. It was all well done. The only flub for me was actually the C plot of making this whole thing to be the that little miniature Intrepid class thing. It just seemed like they never showed us anywhere in the episode that would be the case. So other than that, everything was nice. I enjoyed it a lot. I liked Mariner's wrap up. I enjoyed Boimler staying alive and being somewhat useful. And so, good all around.
Yeah.
All right. I will also give it an 8.5. I agree with you. The downside for me was the C plot of the of the tiny, 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 tiny ship. But definitely remember when we were reviewing the very first episode, all the way back in the last episode of The Topic is Trek, where I was commenting, and I think, Kreg, you also had it on your notes, that Tillin mentions that there are several of these rifts that seem to be appearing, and now we're getting them all the time here. So
Yeah.
I understand them wanting to throw this in here because it apparently is going to be a recurring theme. I just wish, like you, Gary, that kind of some hint, like somebody would say, even a line that would say, I'm not quite sure that they're capable of this. Something like that. Just, this is behavior they've never exhibited before, or
So
yeah, I
is
mean,
that an
we don't
ordinary?
need something as blatant as the ship from last season, but popping up, destroying things. But yeah, some morsel would be nice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. And what about you, Kreg?
I'm also going to give it an 8.5 because I really enjoyed this episode, especially the whole awkwardness between the characters on the screen and myself trying to figure out if Jennifer and Mariner were still a thing.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun. I kind of enjoyed the whole thing. I think seeing the miniature ship did throw me for a little bit because I'm not sure how that fits in everything, but I'm sure it does. Well, there's these fissures. Even you mentioned Mariner was like, "Oh, I've seen 1 million of these this month."
Mhm.
So yeah, they're obviously calling that out as something that's going to be a bigger uh, plot device as we go forward. So
Maybe I wasn't paying attention to the opening credits. They keep adding things. Was there a miniature ship in there and I just didn't see it?
Well,
yeah, it was there all the time.
possibly so. Yeah, it might have been there since season 1. For all we know. That's right. You see that
Yeah.
that 1 pixel's worth of a phaser,
Right by the board cube. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it wants to be a little further away, kind of like gives you that perspective that maybe it's bigger than I think it is, type of thing. It's just really far away, type of thing.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, with that said, it's time to come back from our first main mission with an appropriate sound effect, or the ones that I've got on here. So it's probably going to sound like the same ones. There we go. Pressing some buttons. And it's time to go out on Subspace Chatter. But as we all know, in order to go out on Subspace Chatter, we have to check with Charlie first. And we never know. We're going to get Nice Charlie, which oddly enough, Nice Charlie is from the Mirror Universe, or are we going to get Charlie X? So let's find out. Charlie, is it okay to do Subspace Chatter?
You don't need all that subspace chatter.
Oh, Charlie X. Ooh.
We didn't get his brother Charlie Y.
No. Why didn't we get Charlie Y? Why? All right.
All right.
We are going to move on to Subspace Chatter. And I believe, Kreg, you have the first story.
Yes, I do. And speaking recently at SpaceCon 2024 in San Antonio, Texas, excuse me, actor Jeri Ryan dropped a piece of information that was news to even her fellow panelists, Robert Duncan McNeil and Garrett Wong, Garrett Wong, in response to an audience member question, has there ever been talk of a Captain 7 show? Ryan had this to say.
Okay.
There has been talk.
Yeah.
And there was an idea that was actually pitched to me after Picard ended, which was not the legacy show that I know the fans are asking for and wants to do. But it didn't feel like the right kind of thing.
Idea.
Yeah. There has been talk, who knows? Yeah. And I've learned, if there's one thing I've learned in this franchise, it's never say never.
Yeah, because it'll happen, right?
Yeah.
You never know.
So that was surprising that she was offered something and somehow it just wasn't the right thing.
I think Garrett was looking for the Admiral Kim show, right?
That's a lot of advancement, sir.
Anything other than, and actually, I think he did say at one point, well, if you did get a show, you'd have me on it. I says, yes, but you'd have to remain an ensign because it would be funny. And you just was not happy about that at all.
Right. Yeah, why? Maybe they started talking about the Captain Seven show a little bit before the Legacy idea came about, because um, the
Well,
Legacy one sounds much more interesting to me. But yeah,
well, I mean, as we got into Picard, she was in those, what was it, Fenris Rangers, and
Mhm.
it did feel like just a smidgen of a setup for that when they were talking about it so
Mhm.
much as they referenced it. So it wouldn't surprise me if it was something like that.
yeah.
Based on how well Crusades did, I think that would be a fine choice. Ooh, snap. All right.
And hey, by the way, Captain Seven, although I like the character, doesn't really have a good ring to it.
Well, I don't think they'd call the show Captain Seven.
I
mean, they
certainly hope
might.
not.
They
I hope
might.
not, because it
The
just
Admiral's
doesn't have a. I mean, it just doesn't have a ring to it. I don't know.
What about just 7?
Just 7.
Yeah, number, not spelled out.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
right.
Yeah, just like
Mysterious.
no,
All
but
right.
I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I'd rather hold out if I could, instead of having that, have the Legacy show. What would y'all think?
Yeah, I think so. I think that realistically, we've talked about this before, that you have to have Starfleet Academy get out there first before you're even going to bother to do that. But I definitely would like to see it. I don't know if it would have and again, we talked about this. I don't know if it would have all the same cast as the end
Mhm.
of Picard, just because you have to deal with all those people and get new sign of contracts and blah, 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 blah. And maybe that won't work out. But yeah, I'd definitely be interested, because I really, really liked 7 in season 3 of Picard. Really did.
Well, even I'm sorry if I'm stepping on you, Gary. I thought you were going to say something. But the Legacy show, you could see where a lot of those characters would come and go and not necessarily be there the whole time, so they wouldn't have to, be contracted to a whole season. Just maybe a couple episodes here and there where they interact with LeVar Burton, or something.
Well, I was thinking more like characters like Jack. You'd have
Yeah, I
to.
was going to say all the younger people that they introduced that were possessed by the Borg, if you want to use possession, they pretty much laid out. They had we got to see a significant amount of about maybe six younger actors
Mhm.
on the Titan, and I think that would have been probably your core crew, or at least that was my thought when I first heard Legacy thrown around.
Right. If they'd gone to series immediately, I think you could do that. I'm just saying that I think that as the amount of time goes by, actors get other jobs, things happen, and then suddenly you can't pull that team together. So you have to then replace LeVar's daughter, whose first name I'm blanking on at the moment. But so people like Jack and that might have to get swapped out, or find replacements for them.
Jack Crusher is now played by.
Well, not to play the character, but to come up with some other character
Yeah.
that that function, if you will.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're all at least a little familiar with the video game Star Trek Bridge Commander. Have all of us played Star Trek Bridge Commander? I have. Okay.
Yeah. It's been a while ago. Yeah.
Right. Well, it came out in 2017. And the game lets you and your friends use VR headsets or simply desktop monitors to virtually place yourself on the bridge of the Starship Enterprise.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. Now, fast forward to 2024 and London, England. Shoo! I know don't get whiplash there. The company Parabolic Theater has just opened an immersive experience they are calling Bridge Command. It's equal parts escape room, team building exercise, live action role play, and immersive theater experience, all housed in a series of custom built Starship interior sets, which cost around $4 million to create. There's even a bar.
Well, I'm in.
Yeah. And although it's not a Star Trek licensed experience, it draws heavily from Trek's visual and technological style, with dashes of other sci-fi franchises such as The Orville and Red Dwarf thrown in for good measure. We'll have links to some of the videos and that are reviews, as well as official Bridge Station training videos, which I found interesting. Those are listed on their YouTube page. Just go to the show notes for episode 171, Extended Happy Hour, over at The Topic is Trek, ding.com. I don't have
Yeah, I did see some of this video on this, and it was cool because you can actually rank up and come back at a higher rank, and they give you different tasks at your, depending on what station you choose to pick. So yeah, no, it looks like fun, and it looks like something you could probably go back to multiple times, not just go through one experience, the same experience each time. So
yeah, they I think one of the articles had interviewed somebody who had been through it a couple of times, and they said it was not the same each time. It was different every time. And there are certain things that I guess if things go, the author of the article I was reading mentioned that they have an escape pod, but he says that's only if you really, really mess up. So he didn't get a chance to see the escape pod.
Well, they only built one, so if somebody uses it, we got to spend the money to build another.
But what I get a kick out of is we've ranked on this before. They have a device in the ceiling which makes the sparks come out of the ceiling. You know, that
And the
classic
same-
battle damage sparks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like that's pretty funny.
that would be cool.
that's authentic.
All right. What do you got for us, Gary?
Okay, well, our next little news piece up is that during an upcoming prop store auction happening later this month, iconic memorabilia from Leonard Nimoy will be auctioned off to raise funds to honor his legacy.
Oh,
November is COPD, or Chronic Obstructive Pulmonary Disease Awareness Month. As you may recall, Leonard Nimoy passed away from COPD complications back in 2015. Proceeds from this auction will go towards the creation of a Leonard Nimoy Live Long and Prosper memorial sculpture at the Museum of Science in Boston, and towards supporting COPD research being conducted by Dr. John Belperio and his team at UCLA Medical Center. Headlining the Nimoy collection is one of the Live Long and Prosper pendants. 10 of these pendants were flown into space on a Blue Origin flight back in 2021. 5 individuals have already been awarded one of these space-flown pendants for supporting Leonard's legacy, including Mayim Bialik, Billie Jean King, Neil deGrasse Tyson, LeVar Burton, and Whoopi Goldberg. For the first time ever, one of these pendants will be made available to the public through this auction. It's expected to go in price between $50,000 to $100,000. We'll have a link to this article, as well as a link to the Boston Museum of Science's Nimoy's Memorial fundraising page in our show notes for episode 171, Extended Happy Hour, over at thetopicistrek.com. Ding.
Yes.
I did see Whoopi Goldberg's little pendant in the one of these articles, I think.
So it would have been funny if they'd sent it up with Shatner, but I don't think it was that flight that these things went up on.
No, because it was back in 2021. So
Yeah. All right.
Hmm.
And yeah,
All right. If we all go in halfers.
that's right. I checked on the I think they're trying to raise $500,000 for the $500,000. They're at $391,000 right now, 78% of the goal. So hopefully with the auction, that's going to get them over the top on that one. It'll be fun because that's down the street. I can go see that.
Oh, nice.
Oh, is it really? Oh, I guess so. Yeah. Cool.
All right. What are you getting up for us next, Kreg?
All right. So, as we've been talking about Lower Decks, we're less than halfway through the final season, but we're already learning a bit about non-spoiler news about the finale. So, in an interview with SFX magazine, series creator Mike McMahon revealed that a whole extra act, an additional 8 minutes, was added to the final episode. I sort of say filmed, but I don't think
that would be really hard to do.
yeah. McMahon noted, "I don't know anybody on the crew or anybody I've shown the finale to where the last 8 minutes didn't make them tear up a little." Oh.
So it's interesting. It sounds like they're doing the same approach that Discovery took.
I
That
hope we do a better job. Oh, sorry.
well,
Oh,
I was going to say, he says it's just 8 minutes, but we've talked before about this and Prodigy, both Lower Decks and Prodigy jam a lot into about 20 minutes. So
yes.
I don't think that 8 minutes is not going to be unreasonable to actually, do it justice.
Yeah, I mean that'd be a significant chunk of a regular episode. That's a good amount of time. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you consider the episodes are what, 20 something. It's almost half an episode.
Right.
Plot A.
Stretch it a little bit, but
Plot D is going on. Oh, that's going to be a fun one to get through.
now they're all miniatures. Oh,
Oh my goodness. They've all got their own fissures to go through.
As long as Riker doesn't show up, I'll be okay.
yeah, he's a cook.
Please no.
Yeah, he comes in computer and program. Whoa,
I mean,
that was rough to watch.
They have a lot of homages to Enterprise, so you've made me worried all of a sudden.
Well, wait a minute.
He'll have his trombone with him, okay? So
Okay.
Right,
5,
Riker
6, 7.
Riker could show up because he actually belongs in this time
Sure.
period. So
He was,
he is present. Yeah.
yeah, so in the Titan. All right, and finally, I just thought I would throw in this bit of Paramount Global news that you can use because I found this one interesting. This is more of a tidbit. It's an article on Forbes.com reports that Paramount Global and Nielsen, the ratings people, are in the second month of an impasse on an agreement. Paramount cited, quote, unacceptable demands, including substantial price increases that are inconsistent with the realities of a changing industry. While the Nielsen spokesman said that's a total mischaracterization, but it's a long word, of the financials. With no Nielsen agreement, Paramount no longer has access to any Nielsen data, past or present, for all of its media properties. These include CBS Television Network, all its ad-supported cable properties like Comedy Central, BET, Nickelodeon, syndicated television, and any ad-supported streaming platforms such as Pluto TV and Paramount Plus.
that's a lot.
Yeah, just prior to the start of the impasse, Paramount had told ad agencies it would be using its audience data from Nielsen's competitor VideoAmp. The partnership between VideoAmp and then Viacom CBS, so this is before the reunification, started in 2021. So they're not using Nielsen ratings, they're using data from VideoAmp. But it just struck me as odd. You are just going into your season. Your season has just started, whether it's from Lower Decks to the, Matlock on CBS, and everything in between, football, everything. You have no Nielsen ratings at all. You're running, hoping that this other thing is going to give you accurate ratings.
Well, there's always VideoAmp.
There is always VideoAmp.
Well, they talk about that, but Nielsen isn't the sole source of ratings that it was, 20 years ago.
No, absolutely.
The information they get from, cable companies and even, streaming data from the servers and stuff. There's a lot more sources than is let on through than just Nielsen. So I don't think this crack in a wall is a bad thing. Number one, I didn't even know Nielsen had a competitor, so that's interesting news. And as I said, there's other sources that they get some of these viewership data from. So Nielsen is not the only game in the market. So it's an interesting choice because I'm sure ad people probably still like the Nielsen product a lot for trusting as far as spending money. But change has to happen sometime, and so much has changed about. I'll use the term television viewing, even though it's not quite that anymore. I think it's a good thing that things are shaking up. Hopefully, it doesn't mean we get less Star Trek.
Hopefully so.
Well, we don't. Nielsen doesn't send us $1 anymore for our data, so
I spent ages. Did you ever fill out diaries? I filled out diaries like 3 times for them.
I've done it before.
Did
But
it
what
one-
they
yeah,
did,
I
they
did
did
for
like
like
$1.
like 6 months or something. I think.
They give. Yeah, I think it was literally $1 for it.
Yeah, yeah. Here's some money for your time, sir.
Wow, thanks. This is totally worth me doing this like for a month and a half. Absolutely.
Wow. Got some
All right.
coin in my pocket.
So those are all the stories we've got for this time around. Although that does not mean we don't have other stories. We have links to 54 additional stories broken up by series, movies, and other categories. You'll find articles on everything, including a theory that maybe the 2 Talins in the first episode of the season did switch places.
Hmm.
That explains the love of music. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Perhaps it does.
oh, maybe you're onto something. Yeah.
So you can check those out over at the show notes for episode 171, Extended Happy Hour, over on the Topic is Trek, ding.com.
I thought you forgot the name of our show for a moment.
No, I was. All right. So now comes one of my favorite parts of the show. That's where I get to say goodbye to Charlie. So goodbye, Charlie.
I want to stay.
Is he gone? Thank goodness. All right. We can get back to the show now. Stupid Charlie. We want Mirror Charlie. Mirror Charlie.
Oh, he's just misunderstood. Yeah, he'll be good from now on. Yeah.
Sure. All right, we're going to head out on main mission part 2 with an appropriate sound effect. I must have another one in here someplace. I don't know. I guess I don't have anything else here. Well, I'll work on that for the next time I need them. So, Kreg, can you give us just the nuts and bolts on this next episode we're talking about?
In this short synopsis, I see a space.
That's because did not have time for it. We're going to be winging this one.
Yeah. All right. 1 second. There isn't. I was gonna pull up Memory Alpha. There's nothing on there
No,
for this episode.
but the title and so forth and so on.
Yeah. So it's called A Farewell to Farms, and it is episode 4, A Farewell to Farms, written by Diana Tay and directed by Megan Lloyd.
All right. And yeah, production on these things is becoming a bit of a challenge. So I do not have actual plot synopsis stuff going on here. Although I did at least note that we have an A and a B story going on in this episode. So we'll just talk about the A story and the B story. And we're going to start with what I consider to be, well, you guys choose. Do you want to start with what's happening with Mariner and Boimler, or what's happening on the Cerritos? Which would you rather?
Go ahead, Gary.
Oh, I'll say Boimler. The Cerrito stuff is even more confusing than usual for me.
Okay. All right.
All right. Yeah.
Well, this is kind of confusing at first. Now, I admit I didn't get a chance to look, so you guys are going to have to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but we are focusing on a former Klingon captain, Captain Ma. M.A. We have a lot of names in here.
Your pronunciation
Don't-
is good.
Don't hurt yourself, Clinton.
Now, was he the captain on the ship when they were trapped on the planet and they all had to get off of it, and then there was a mutiny? Is that this? Is that
Yes.
he's from? Okay, all right. Just want to be sure because I thought that's where he was from. And so now he's on a farm. Apparently, even on Kronos, they've got good old country farms with his brother Malor, who loves to taunt him and just constantly needling this guy. And he seems to be pretty darn miserable living here. Matter of fact, we have kind of a Star Wars moment where you've got that sunset and he's there on the farm and he's looking out and he's just kind of.
I was going to say John Ford, but I could see. Yeah.
Okay. And there's a shuttle, very small, going by up in the sky, which will play into the story in a few minutes. Now, he's getting these signals. First of all, I thought it was interesting that he's got this communicator. He's essentially out of the Klingon forces. Yet he
Mhm.
seems to have, I don't know, maybe he kept it for, for personal reasons, but it seemed like it was a military grade communicator that he had, that he was keep getting
Right.
these calls from Mariner on. It just struck me as, where did you get that? Because your truck that you have is not that high tech. Was he given like a couple of trinkets to send him along his way?
Well, they're
It's like you could drive
Yeah.
a beater car, but you still have the latest iPhone.
Ah, now
Yeah.
it makes sense.
you just need a tape adapter so you can play music through the stereo.
So they are farming. They're making blood wine, and it looks like they're also, was that gach that they were harvesting at one point?
Well, it looked like they were feeding it to the targs.
Oh, okay. Well, I
His
just
Well, there
brother
was- Well, he stepped on them to make the wine.
okay.
Remember, he dumped him in there. It looked like not Thursday, like Lucy. He was stomping on the on the worms to for wine.
I know that they've like balanced out that blood formula in their.
Oh wait. But before we get too far in the episode,
Yes.
let's take a moment and talk about the beginning, the intro, because it's very cinematic. It felt like we were seeing the beginning of a movie.
Because it had no theme.
Well,
Well,
The music was slow.
Yep.
It was the same music, but it was kind of slow, and it showed them milling around the farm, doing their stuff.
It felt
Almost
like,
like it was-
like the opening of a Western to me is what.
yeah. Okay. I
Yeah.
can see that.
Yeah, or something to that effect. I just thought it was different, other than da 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 da, da and the whole thing.
And that, I think, is the second time they've done an opening like that. I think they've done that
Mhm.
once before. I don't remember which episode it was, but I'm pretty sure they've done it once before. And that kind of had that same feeling. It's like, well, this is different. Something weird going on here.
Yeah, I loved how they had Maha holding with the typical Klingon cup. How many millions of those things do they make? He
I
was
know.
sitting there on the farm drinking out of one of those.
Well, no, we find
I
out
know.
when they get to the bar. Apparently, they must make a lot of them because the bartender's complaining that they're not drunk enough to brawl. Like he's complaining that the patrons aren't drunk enough to brawl yet.
Yeah, and they just look back and snarl.
You, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're delivering it, and nobody's showing him any respect at all in this place, because he's kind of labeled as he's had a mutiny on his ship, and he's just kind of now
Well,
just
what
a
did his
farmer.
brother say? He dishonored the whole family. It wasn't good. Yeah.
Yeah, his brother is a real supportive type, because he's. I call him. I have a note here. Malor is a terrible wingman.
yeah. When they were in the bar, she's like, "Oh, I like captains. Too bad there's not one around."
I'm sure he behaved honorably. Yeah, he got beaten. He got beaten up by a targ, a couple of days ago, or this morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, stop already! Stop. But I even noticed at the time, it's interesting that so Clara, even after everything that Malor is throwing at this, she's still saying things like a Klingon is not defined by rank. Like she's only driven away because Boimler and Mariner show up.
Yeah, that actually surprised me as she was saying all those things to flip like that. That just seemed.
Well, I mean, she's totally into Ma'a, but not Starfleet, apparently, or at least not at this point. I think they kind of win her over a little bit by the end. And let's comment again about Boimler's mustache now.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's the growth is really getting obvious.
Yeah.
It
Again,
looked like John
looks more-
Waters.
He looks more like the teenager that like I said earlier, that's having trouble growing a beard.
Yeah, so he's got the mustache, but he still just has stubble for the rest. So I'm wondering if he's gonna try to go with the whole beard or not.
Yeah. How is this not going to end with Frakes commenting on his beard? I don't see how it doesn't happen. I just don't see it. It's got to happen. They both have to be on screen, and he's got to say something like "nice beard,"
Yeah.
It's also a case of wait a minute. It's kind of late to be growing a beard, lower decks. It's just kind of late in the game.
Oh, he should have done it by season 2. What?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I must admit, I got a kick out of Boimler in this episode. He was just so friggin' enthusiastic and knowledgeable,
Yeah.
way more than he should have been about all things Klingon. He was more knowledgeable than the Klingons were about Klingons.
Well, yeah, that's true. But the other thing I thought was interesting was how excited he was about the being around Klingons and the fight. This is going to be so Klingon, and the Klingons throw him across the bar, and he's enjoying all this pain. What was funny was he was enjoying that pain. I was like, when the last episode he was scared to ski, and then that's what Mariner said.
Right.
Just not too long ago, you were worried about skiing.
But he learned from the experience. He grew as a result of that experience.
Yeah,
This
well,
is
that
the
is
most
kind of the
Klingon
thing.
ever.
Yeah,
Yeah, he knows the legends of Kalis. He knows bizarre points of their code that haven't been used for 300 years.
Captain
And
Yeah.
why they were who just he was in full boim. The Klingons were boimed, I think, at that point with him.
he boimed him all right.
Absolutely. And Mariner, she's there because she says, well, I owe you one for what you did for me. It's because I was on my way home from this thing with the museum, blah, blah, blah. I thought I'd look you up. And since I'm here, you help me. I'm going to help you become a captain again. And he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. He just wants her to leave him alone. Blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
But he's told that there's a chance, and he decides he's going to take. I think he only takes Mariner and Boimler up on the offer to get them to leave.
Yeah,
You come with me.
Yeah.
You'll see how it is, and then you'll go. All right, and then I'm rid of you. Deal.
the
Deal.
faster I do this, the faster you go away.
Yeah. But it didn't go the way anybody was anticipating, because Boimler continued to boim,
Yes.
and he got them caught up in this whole series of rites of passage, and he was all excited. No one
The
else
human
was.
pyramid surprised me.
Yeah, really. Yeah, and of course the first one we'd seen before. We'd seen that one on TNG, right? Was it TNG or was it Deep Space Nine? It was TNG.
No, it's
wasn't it?
TNG.
Both.
Yeah.
It was both.
Oh, was it both?
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So we get to see the pain sticks and and we got to find out how much they can be amped up to. 30,000 volts, which is a lot of volts. Now, I'm not an electrician. I don't know if Boimler's plan would have worked, so I can't speak to it. Does anybody?
Well, it's not the volts that kills you; it's the amps. So, So yeah, they're playing a little fast and furious. So I'll say yes, it could have worked. Yes.
So was the concept that it was a more volume because they were all together? Was that the deal?
It was dispersed so that instead of going in and out of one point, it's going in and out of 4 points.
I see.
Yeah. Yeah. They kind of like they made themselves bigger so it would affect them less.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it works. I'm wondering I was wondering at that point if they were the first Klingons to make it, but we find out that Barg has kind of changed the rules of these games. So maybe it's never really like amped up that much, and he just decided to do that.
It might be one of those ceremonies where you're literally not supposed to survive. Where it's just like an honorable death kind of thing. Because we're talking
how
about
far can you get?
captains who have been discredited or trying to get their honor back, and maybe they just get it back by honorably trying to get it back.
I always thought it was kind of like a rite of passage kind of thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that, Worf survived it, but I didn't get a feeling that that's impossible. when they were doing it, it was like, that's impossible. So I think that Barg ordered them to put them at full, where it sounds like they weren't normally set that high. Like, maybe they're used as a weapon, they're set that high, but in the ceremony, they're not set that high. I'm not sure. But Boehm proved to be a genius. Even Mariner admitted it.
I like how he falls face down. You're a genius.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And then we get our second challenge. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, can I say something else? In a lot of ways, since I guess in this era, we're more friends with the Klingons than we are enemies. And it's funny because the Klingons are acting more human-like, especially with the interaction with the brothers and the other Klingons and stuff, like the ones that almost had a traffic accident in the air.
Yeah. Giving each
Experience
other
speech. No,
Yeah.
you experience speech. You know what? I don't know if you remember that, but I remember. I mean, I'm back up. I looked it up online, and do you know where that came from? The experience speech.
Nope.
It's a reference to the Klingon Challenge VCR board game.
Yeah, I was reading something. I didn't get a chance to look them up. That there are references in here, or people in uniforms that are from Star Trek Online, from the board game. It's like pulling in a little bit of everything into this.
Yeah. I thought that was funny. I was like, experience speech, what's that? And of course, I looked it up. I had to pause it, and I looked it up. I was like, oh my god, it's a reference to the board game. I guess Gowron, or whatever his character's name was. It Gowron in the VCR game?
It was the commander. It was Christopher Plummer's character, right? Wasn't it?
No, it was Gowron, but I don't
Probably,
know if it was.
Yeah, that actor did
that game.
several
That
different ancillary things for Trek.
yes.
Yeah.
Right. I'm thinking of a different game. I'm thinking of the Klingon Academy, kind of the that one.
Robert O'Reilly was playing. I don't remember if it was actually Gowron or not.
There's who else has those eyes? I mean, come on.
I know, right? Yeah.
I know he did do some like non-show video that was Trek related, so that wouldn't surprise me. I've seen stuff around over the years. Yeah.
All right, so then we're battling a giant targ, which I didn't know they grew them that big.
Well, if you feed them enough and they're in a big enough cage.
I suppose it's like giant.
No, I'm not gonna mock Worf's pet targ anymore.
Yeah.
You had to clean up after that thing. Woo.
That's an honorable animal.
It's like a Sailot teddy bear, it's just like, that's not what you think it is. It's really not. But there, and once again, Boimler, precious Boimler, hopping on the side of it, going, "I got it. Am I winning? Am I? And just being dragged around like nobody's business, and he's just failing, completely failing. But then we start to wonder what's going on, because his brother Mellor comes up with a plan for them all to do to grab the legs, and wants nothing to do with it. Says, fine, we'll try it. Now he gets booted away, but they're still able to do it, and they win the challenge. But it's none of this. This is all ringing hollow for our former captain.
Yeah, I agree, because I was thinking he didn't participate in the actual wrapping up, tying down the targ, because he got kicked away, and he was reluctant to even go with this crew. I was like, how is this redeeming him at all? So you should have seen him reluctantly go and help everybody and then really get into it. That
Right.
would have been more. That would have been made more sense to me. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Gary.
he's not participating. He's not leading in any real sense. It's it just feels like he doesn't want to even be there in the first place.
Right. And so fortunately at this point when we're starting to go, what the heck is up with this guy? Mariner essentially says, what the heck is up with you? And he's explaining that, well, he doesn't want to be a captain anymore because he doesn't want to be a captain in Barg's, fleet, because he says, look how dishonorable this guy is.
Mm-hmm.
And well, then you don't go on some other ship. Where it's not like Starfleet. You can't just like, hey, I want to go over here instead. And here comes Boymes again, coming up with different things, different ideas. And Mariner's like chiming in on this now too. Like they're in full mode at this point.
Hey, it would have been funny if Boimler ended up being a Klingon captain.
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's a bird of prey. Ah!
Well, we're not talking about that much, but I actually like the point that he explained why Baha was so down and wasn't happy because he was serving under somebody he didn't consider honorable,
Right.
and and how they resolved that was a lot of fun. You're one of my now. Now I want you to.
Well, it's also interesting because what he says when he's explaining it to Mariner is that the four of them are fighting with honor, which is more than he could ever say for his commander.
Yeah.
Right. So I think every time that they won, it was almost reinforcing that he didn't want to be captain again because he was not going to be serving with this bunch. He was going to be serving under that guy who, wants him dead to keep changing the rules. Yeah, exactly. Because he now says, oh, well, you've got one more child. One of you has to sacrifice yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey.
Wait a minute. You're just making this up.
Yeah, pretty much. You're winging it now, aren't you?
Yeah.
But then comes that twist where we have a callback to earlier in the episode when Boimler is rattling off all the stuff that happened as part of this, which is the conscription to a ship. And what do you know? All of a sudden now Bach is on Ma's crew. And so he says, I choose you to sacrifice yourself after an awesome fight. I didn't really expect them to. I mean, there's a lot of animation involved in having that battle between the two of them going on. With the lighting, we had some fires back there and other stuff going on. It was very fast paced, not the normal type of thing that you would see on lower decks, including the ending part of that fight. But
I was shocked that Ma lived. I thought at that moment I thought he was done.
Yeah, I thought that. Oh wow, that is not what I expected to see coming. And then it's like, oh no, he's fine. That I didn't expect to see coming. When all of a sudden he turns around and kills.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my goodness. Okay, well, and they linger on that shot for a couple of seconds.
They did. He stumbled back and sat in that throne.
Yeah, I think maybe they lingered on the shot a bit to say, no, really, that's the end. He's not wounded. No, he's gone.
Well, and I appreciate that because after Maha had a very similar wound with the spear through his chest, and then that guy, the other commander guy had a similar thing. Just I guess he hit the right heart. I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
The right heart.
He's victorious, but man, he's hurt. He's a little hurt. Yeah, I would imagine so after something like that. This is also, we've seen Klingon blood again on the show, and they're going with the Star Trek 6 Klingon blood.
Yeah, the purplish. Yeah.
The Pepto-Bismol blood.
Actually, yeah. Actually, it looked pretty fluorescent in this episode.
Yeah, maybe it glows in certain ways when they're on Kronos.
Yeah, when it's near pain sticks, it glows.
So I thought that was interesting that they, that's the direction they're going with it. No, we're sticking with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Then I almost feel like this is not quite the same, but close to what we had in the last episode with the tiny ship. Because Mariner says, yeah, I was supposed to, doing this thing. And yeah, I did return that skull. And but my real mission was,
Yeah.
and, she's supposed to be investigating one of these dimensional fissures that's shown up in Klingon space. And Bach did not want them anywhere near it. He wouldn't allow the Federation into the space. But yeah, kind of like, okay, we didn't mention anything at all about this up front. Here we are.
Was there notes from the network? You need a story arc.
I
give you a story arc.
Yeah, but we're only going to mention it at the end of the episodes. That's all. The only thing that's going to happen.
Did they ever do something like that in TNG where they found an excuse to go into Klingon space to actually do something else? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know. I remember Archer going into Klingon space to return the Klingon there. But
you had the time with that paramilitary organization thing where Picard got caught by the Cardassians at one point, where they were dropped off or something like that.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
You had the one where they were tracking the genetic material.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they went into Romulan space for that. So,
well, they've also been into Klingon space on Deep Space Nine. They went on a secret mission to Klingon itself, and they've been on Klingon on Kronos on Discovery as well. They jumped to that cave underneath the and it was one of the major cities, a giant cave that they could be in, and that's where they were planning on doing the little thing that Emperor Giorgio instead, was going to be setting off this giant bomb there to get rid of the Klingons by destroying Kronos together.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, they've been there a couple of times. They know the good spots, the bad spots to go to. They're good. But we get to find out that these dimensional rifts are not a natural occurrence. Someone is making them. Now, we've been really bad at guessing in past seasons. Like,
speak for yourself, Clinton.
Okay, I've been really bad. Chuck's been really bad. Kreg, since you've been really good about it, what do you think is behind all this?
Q. I'm saying I'm bringing Q into the picture.
Okay. Because he likes to make dimensional fissures.
Well, just because we've had no clues about Q up until this point. I don't know. That's I really have I really don't know, because there's so much there's no information other than there's been a lot of them. So
right, they're occurring with I think Talon said the first with like a regularity, so that it's almost like they should be able to predict now, because there've been several of them when they're going to occur. They just don't know where they're going to occur. So hopefully I'm wondering if where they are appearing is somehow part of the clue about what they are, or where they lead to or from is some part of the clue. Like, okay, well, this one leads to kind of a mirror universe. This one leads to a mini universe, type of thing.
The reverse space with the
we're
in the TAS. Yeah.
Get April in here. We'll have him turn young again. All right, now the B story, which is apparently very confusing to Gary. It's very, very simple. Dr. Miggly Moo is going to have these food critics on board, because who better to be someone being judged for food than a psychologist, right? I mean, that's clearly a judge.
Okay.
Well, I did think it was interesting that the whole bird race revolves around food, and their search for the greatest meal.
That's why we invented warp drive.
Yeah. So, I just thought that was interesting.
it's a very,
Oh, I
very
loved the little claw thing that they would like. It's almost like a bird regurgitating its food to give to them. I thought that was a really nice little touch
Yeah,
to throw
Yeah.
in there.
that
As
was
far
a
as-
good one.
They have
Yeah.
a knife, a fork, and a spoon, and they're all gold plated, by the way. But yeah, they use those little tongs instead, and they get under people's skins. I mean, they get under Captain Freeman's skin pretty much immediately. You know,
Say something before I start a diplomatic incident.
yeah. Do you ever vacuum the carpets in here? And oh my goodness, and just get them out of here. Oh, please cover my eyes so I don't have to see as I'm walking along. Yeah, everybody's good side. Now, I did think it was odd that Miglimu thought the best thing to serve them, food critics, is something out of the replicator.
As soon as he said that, I went, "Why would you do that?"
I mean, it may taste okay, but it's recycled. Well, we know Admiral Vance told us what it was, so.
Yeah. So
I
it wasn't
didn't
Clinton. I
realize
don't
you were
remember.
so replicator. I don't know what the right word is. Discriminatory. Yeah.
Yeah, discriminatory.
Well, they're looking for.
Hey, if Troy could get those chocolate sundaes and love them, then the replicator has to do good work.
You're right, but apparently not for them because they just it's bland and tasteless and blah 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 blah, and they're Miglimu was all upset and Rutherford has the idea of. I felt like when Rutherford said this, that it was like, oh, don't. Because he said, well, what if you actually cook him a meal? I feel like that was like a Lucy moment. It's like, well, what if we cook? What could go wrong with that? Womp, womp, womp.
Yeah, right.
But they seem to be very competent in what they're doing. We find out that Tendi is really good at chopping because of assassin training.
Her knifing skills.
Yeah.
I love that. That was great.
And they prepare this meal and it's, Rutherford says, oh, this, the sauce or the stew, whatever is, perfect and blah, blah, blah. And they come down and the critics taste it again and they hate that as much. Matter of fact, they're just going to put him in prison for a bad meal. I'm like, whoa, geez. I mean, I know you're around food, but this is like carrying it a bit far. And your family's going to be taken off what the
Invitation list or
like the seating chart.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So, oh no. And he's calling for help to Freeman, and I felt like she was waiting for that, right? Because she was stepping in all the time, but he would say, "No, Carol, this is they're right." Da, 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 da. So if he's saying that, I really don't think she thinks there's anything she can really do because he's accepting it. But as he's being dragged away, he's saying, help me. And she's okay. Well, I guess it's time to step in now and do something. So that's when they hatch the plan of actually what they're going to do. And they point out what the replicator makes. I apparently there's a setting on the replicator that you can make it not look like what it is, but taste like what it is and smell like what it is.
Here's your Thanksgiving turkey. It looks like Jell-O, but it's turkey.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, okay, so your little appetizers and taste like blank because it actually is blank.
What did the replicators use for matter, Clinton? I don't remember. Please refresh my memory.
Let us say let us not say. That was words I could use, but I'm going, let's not say.
It's best unspoken.
Yes, it is indeed. And this trips up the critics who we find out have big surprise, certainly not to Tendi, that they've lost their sense of taste. And they've been like trashing all these different places because they just have no idea what the thing tastes like. So they're going to assume that it's bad. They're not going to assume that it's good. They're going to assume that it's bad, which is like, okay, you can go one of two ways here.
Some critics, can't even taste it.
And they don't even understand why, but Miglimu does. And he's willing to treat them to help them get better as long as it's catered, which I thought was a nice dig at the same time.
Well catered.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes, well catered. Well catered. That's all the notes I have. I don't think there was a wrap up between the two crews, right? I think they were on their own separate missions. We
Mhm.
see the end of the mission on Kronos where Mariner and Boimler take off, and Maha and his brother Malor are now going to be captain and number one on just their truck. It says, well, Martok started off this way, so this is the beginning of my new greatness.
I like that.
Well-
I like that line. I've always liked
Actually-
Martok. Throw him in where you can.
Well, I remember watching it going, thinking, they kind of went full circle. Now they're back at the truck. They did all this, and they're just back where they were.
Yes, but now he's somebody. He has his honor back, and he's presumably he's back because he's back in a fleet. He's obviously not on that fleet because that fleet has nobody in charge of it anymore. And you wonder, that means we need a replacement on our council too, by the way. Thanks a lot for killing that guy. Now one of us has to be, head of the council.
Doesn't he take over his house when he kills the head of the house? I'm confused. Doesn't he become the leader? At least that's what I was expecting, but we went back to the farm.
Well, perhaps he can decline that if he so chooses. And you'd have to find a way. Well, you'd have to find a way that brings no dishonor on the family. And he says that, and everybody turns to Boimler, and he explains what you do.
Yeah.
To make that happen.
He knows.
He knows things.
Yeah.
All right. So what are we going to rate this one on?
Pain sticks.
Pain sticks. All right. Not to be confused with pick sticks. That's completely different. All right.
By the way, this article did say that since they've never ever said what blood wine was made from, they were raising targs on that farm, but then they were stepping on the worms, or the gawk rather, to make what looked like wine. So you really never did tell you exactly what they were making it out of.
Well, they also had plants, and I didn't pay enough attention to see were there just leaves or was there an actual thing growing in the vines? I couldn't tell. So yeah, it could be a combination of all those things, or their special formula of it.
Mm-hmm.
Combination of all
True.
those things.
Yeah.
Yummy.
All right.
Pain sticks, sir. 1 to 10.
Oh, me.
Are you asking me?
I will go with
Okay, go ahead, Gary.
6 pain sticks, sir. 6.
6.
The bird food plot left me wanting more.
More food?
Food?
Yes. And the as far as Maha, his quest for honor didn't seem like he really wanted to do it. Even at the end, he still didn't. I didn't feel this crazy sense of accomplishment. So,
Okay. All right. I'll go next.
Mhm.
I'm gonna give it 8 pain sticks. I hear you on Miglimu, although we so rarely see Miglimo that it's, to me, it's like, oh, he sits on the bridge and doesn't even get animated half the time, or just like blinks his eyes. And it's nice to remember, oh, by the way, he's on the ship, and he ends up doing what he's trained to do, not what he's not trained to do. It's almost like he didn't have enough belief in himself either, that he was just going to, try to put on a pretense that he was somehow good enough to be a chef to serve them a meal, when he comes right out and says, no, that's not what I do. I'm a chef of the mind instead. And then I did very much like the Klingon story. I thought that Klingons are very rigid in what they believe, and to have this bouncy character come in and almost like throw it in their faces constantly about, well, this is what you do, and they have to go, he's right. You have to do that thing.
I like your Klingon, by the way, Clinton.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
we find out that, the reason Mahad doesn't want to be a captain again is because he doesn't see any honor in it at all. It's like, yes, I'll be back to being a captain, but I'm serving under this person who is, they're in it for themselves. They change the rules. They have no honor. Why am I serving, under their command? And it's like, he doesn't want to go back to that. You get the thing, he wants to be going back to being a captain, but he realizes, and again, it keeps getting reinforced, that if I go back to being a captain, this is who I'm serving under. And I just cannot do that. And when he is given the opportunity to go back, the fact that he's able to say, fine, these are my terms. I am going to start from scratch and I'm going to claw my way up from here, but I have the chance to do it now because my honor has been restored. And I like the fact also that, once again, Klingons begrudgingly have to admit that, Starfleet kind of knows things and can actually get things done. And we have to acknowledge that okay, that actually worked. And this is a thing. And okay. So I liked that part of the story an awful lot. So yeah, Miglimo, I would have liked better story out of that. It was just nice to see him. So that's why I'm sticking with my 8 on that. What about you, Kreg?
I'm going to kind of split the difference here a little bit. I'm doing 7.5. I'm with you. I like the Klingon story, except for Mahas should have ended up growing or getting drawn into it a little bit more and participated more. I think I would have liked it even more so, but the paint stick whole thing and all that stuff was pretty funny. And I enjoyed it. The Miglimo, it feels like it was almost an afterthought story, to be honest with you. And here we are halfway through the season and they threw that in. I like Miglimo's story, or not really an arc, but his story with Tendi, when he had to when Tendi told him, oh, he's gonna fight. What? Yeah, wow. So I didn't really care for that part. So I'm giving it 7.5. It was a half strong episode.
Right. Well, Tendi even calls him out on that one, about, I thought, you're better than me. You fought that giant,
Yeah.
This is different. He gets himself all worked up. All right. Those are our thoughts on that. And so next time around, we will be halfway through the season and more, because next time we'll be talking about episodes 5 and 6. We do not know the titles. I do not believe they've published any of the titles really much in advance, even though they're not giving anything away with these titles. I mean,
There you go. I do have this title for next one.
Okay.
Starbase 80.
Oh no, that's the worst.
Yes, so that was the worst episode.
There's no place to go but up.
Yeah, really. So all right, so Starbase 80 plus an episode to be named at a later date. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Now, before we refill the dilithium chamber and warp on out of here, you can find me, Clinton, at Comedy Forecast, all one word with the number 4.com. Still desperately draft. First draft is done on the big story that's coming up. And so now it's on to draft number 2 on that story. But there's over 700 episodes on comedyforecast.com. So you can, if you haven't heard those, go back and check those out as well.
Yeah, there's about 50 really good ones. I'm kidding.
Yeah, they're spread out.
Easily 55. Easily 55.
Thank you, Gary. Wait a minute now.
So you can find Chuck and I, who Chuck is AWOL. He's probably at AWOL Falls. Yeah. Chuck and I at the Technorama Podcast. You can just search Google for Technorama Podcast, or you can go to chuckchat.com/Technorama and find nearly 20 years worth of shenanigans.
Yeah, you guys have been doing it a long time.
Yeah. May will be our official 20 years. And we got a few things lined up for next year leading up to that. So special things.
See, he's got me beat. I don't get hit 20 years until June.
Yeah, June.
Slacker.
It's all right.
I know.
We'll celebrate them both, Clinton.
Gary, do you have anything you want to promote?
No, nothing to pimp this time around, but I appreciate you having me on, gentlemen. Thank you.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have
Even your day job, you don't want to promote your day job.
No, thanks, sir. I'll keep my world separate.
Okay. All right.
Always happy to have you here. You contribute a lot to the show, and it's fun. We have conversations about Trek all the time in between shows, so it's nice to have you back here to
Yes,
let everybody
absolutely.
share in your wisdom or thoughts about what's
Oh,
going on
thank
with Trek. All right. So with that said, we're going to hit the theme, boys, and hopefully I don't blow things up by doing it.
Hopefully not.
If you like the show, please be sure to tell a friend.
Oh, put on the red shirt.
It's over. All right. Well, thank you for anybody who was watching. Sorry we went a bit long. That's the downside of not having notes about an episode because it comes out that day and it's dense with stuff
know.
going on in it.
Yep.
That was the nice thing
And-
about Prodigy. The bad thing is it all comes out at once. The good thing is it all came out at once.
Yeah. I know.
All right, we're gonna end the live stream. We're gonna chat amongst ourselves. Thank you again for checking us out, whether you were listening or watching, and we will talk to you next time. Bye bye.
Bye, everybody.